Welcome back, everyone, to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. So for me, this is an opportunity. It's the first opportunity I've had in, it feels like forever, but in all likelihood, it's been maybe a week and a half since I've had an opportunity to play the game at all. So here we are recording again, and so I need a little chance to catch up, as well as I'm sure you guys do as well. So let's start by taking a quick look at where we finished off in our last race, which was in Rio. So if we click back on Rio, you can see that we came in second and fourth. So we got our very first podium with this particular team. And now for us, this is punching above our weight. This is doing better than we should be doing, because while we have some good drivers, they are roughly on par with the other teams as far as that goes. So they're average for the series, but our car is well below average. We are 8th on the grid. In fact, let's take a quick look at the team itself, and you can see, I mean, we've got essentially a 4-star driver and then 3.5-star driver, so nothing too shabby at all, but our car is 8th on the grid. We're well below the average, and you can see our drivers are on par. Same thing with our HQ. We're roughly on par. We have a great staff, though I shelled out some money and we've got some great staff members. Our sponsorship is horrible right now. However, that will be changing. The sponsorship part will be changing because now our marketability is much higher. After struggling through a first season where we had our drivers who were terrible as far as marketability goes, it is nice to, now we're maxed out at 4-star right now. It's going to be a while before we can unlock that 5th star because of some buildings we're going to have to take care of in our HQ, which would be a good long time from now. But we are in great shape. So right now, our 4-star is plenty good enough, and I don't even have to really worry about needing better marketability from drivers or the team at this point. Although I do expect the team marketability to continue to climb. You can see we have one sponsorship slot that is open that hopefully we'll be able to fill before our next race, which is in 24 days at Sydney. Okay, we've got some part development going on. We got some new brakes that we're working on. And we can't really take a look at our parts right now as they are because we just finished with a race. So we're going to have to let a day or so elapse in the game before we can see the status of those. Of course, first and foremost, we need to get these parts to where they don't break and we don't have to worry about fixing them each and every race that we go into. But so far, all in all, I think we're doing really well for a new team just getting started. This is our second year, so I think we're in good shape. Let's take a look at our mailbox, and let's see, before we deal with the interview, let's see, we've got a +5 on morale for the podium finish. We will definitely take that. And another scouting report and one of the weakest drivers. Okay, so as far as drivers go, we've got some time. We've got, essentially 2 years and 3 years on our contract here. So we're in pretty good shape here, I would say, as far as drivers go for the long term. Right now, what we really need more than anything is to improve our car. And, at first, when I was looking at signing drivers, $650,000, $600,000, those types of numbers made me a little nervous. And then I started looking around. If we take a look at this driver who is tremendous, but if you take a look, nearly $1.5 million per race, which is a monstrous amount of money to be getting, especially when you consider 8% marketability. That is not going to get it done. So then you look at here, 52% marketability is not great. Great stats for sure, but $1.77 million, nearly $1.8 million for a single driver for a single race. And again, marketability isn't going to get you much there. So wow is all I can say to that. That's great performance, no doubt. And it explains why these guys are probably doing very well in the series right now. I have not really taken a look to see what the standings look like, but that's a huge amount of money. And right now we have to be more cognizant of the amount of money we're spending because of the way the finances go when you create a team. So right now we have 25.6 million, and that seems like a lot, and it is. However, we have all the money we're going to get for the year as far as ownership goes. Any other additional money that we get is going to have to come from sponsorships. and such as that empty slot that we have right now. I'm hoping that we'll get 3 offers, and at least one of those will be 4-star sponsorship and a lot of upfront money for us. So that's what I'm hoping for. But our finances, losing about 1.7 million per race, and then of course we'll subtract from that any bonus winnings that we're able to get during the race weekend. So all in all, that $1.7 million per race, when you're looking at a calendar like this, think about losing $1.7 million every one of these races. That $25.6 million is not going to last as long as you might think, which is why I'm going to hold off on some of these HQ buildings that I would love to build and or upgrade, particularly like the telemetry center. So with that in mind, let's come back to our mail. Let's go ahead and do the interview. And let's accept just to see if there's anything different. And nope, now we found a new normal. This is, we attempted a quick pit stop and it resulted in a mistake. So our chairman has criticized blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to answer this every time. And you can see we lose a little bit of morale there for that particular driver where it happened. But it seems to generate this regardless of whether or not the mistake is a half a second or 10 seconds. So a little balancing maybe needed there, or at least a fewer of these interviews to be generated. Okay, here's our car repair being completed. Looks like we've got a couple of sponsorship offers. We're going to let that go a little bit longer. Hopefully we can get our 3rd offer before we really take a look at it. Okay, so we've got our newest engine that you can see tops out at 415. Now we're going to need to work on some performance to get it there. Same thing here. All right, but we're going to slide this all the way over to reliability. You can see brakes are terrible. We're also working on a new brake package coming up. Let's see, 74, 41. The spoiler is in terrible shape, as is the suspension. But at least the gearbox is, which is between engines and gearboxes, those are the 2 most time-costing parts to repair during the race, followed by, I believe, suspension, spoiler, and then finally the brake package, I believe, is the order that goes. So the brakes will be the last thing that I'll worry about reliability on. Okay, so we've got performance being worked on, or at least as much as it can, with the slider completely to the reliability side. Okay, but it looks like we're going to have this done well before, so we're in good shape there. And so let's go ahead and continue on now that that is going. There's our brake package that is now complete, and our email letting us know that. So let's take a look at what we've got. So you can see we're up to a maximum of 399 here, which is very nice when you consider that we were at 336 and 307. So very nicely done there. Let's see what happens if I add this. We go from 15 days before the race to now 3 days before the race. Okay, so that takes care of that. Although, let's see, I don't think I actually want to do that. Reason being, it takes so little time to repair the brakes during a race. I think I'm actually going to hold off on that a little bit, and we'll jump into some of these other things maybe. Okay, so 368 on brakes. Let's see what we've got. Gearbox, 259. Now, if I remember correctly, we don't have a whole lot that we can do for it. Let's see. Red zone reliability. Wow, again, there's just not much there. Okay, so it'll be 269 out of 300. So that's not bad. That part in and of itself isn't terrible, because at least we could get our lowest part raised up quite a bit. But we do need to see what can we get beyond that. Okay, let's see. What do we have here? Not interested in qualifying boost. Not really interested in a risk level. And this one is no good either. So it's kind of a waste of time. That's where I thought I was going to get. And I believe we've talked about that in previous videos. But so this may be one of those things that I just have to live with for this year. And we're going to go ahead and build this part just so we can bring our secondary part up a little bit. But that's going to be one of those parts that we can't do a whole lot with this particular year without getting into the risk. All right, let's see what kind of offers we've got. Okay, immediately, I like the fact that we've got, there's a whole lot more money on board here. You can see the effect of marketability for sure in this. Okay, let's see. So we got second, first, and first. So we're not really interested in any of these because we don't have the ability, despite our second place finish in this most recent race, there's nothing we can count on like that. So I'm actually going to take the most upfront money here. All of them are for pretty short term. So we're going to go ahead and take the upfront money of $1 million and we'll move on. Some of these other deals, unfortunately, aren't going to run out as quickly as I would like. One race remaining here, a couple of races there, and about 4 races there. Okay, let's go ahead and move along and take a look at what we've got. Again, we're really concerned with reliability because when you're having to make 30 and 40-second pit stops during the race to not only change tires and add fuel, but also to do all sorts of repairs on the car. Okay, so our reliability work is done. Let's go ahead. As much as I want to get more performance out of the engines, I also need reliability in a big way. Okay, so 73 is not bad. That will work for now. Let's see. So this shows me 7 days after the race is when these will be done, which is perfectly fine. Again, not exactly what I'm hoping for. But again, the brakes we can work on and repair those during the race. So that's not such a huge deal for us. Okay, let's go ahead and move along. You can see our new gearbox is about done. And there it is. Let's see what kind of scouting report we've got. Low quality driver. Okay, that's no good to us. All right, so this particular gearbox is going to be very nice. However, it's not going to be ready in time. I'm going to need to work on some things before we can get there. Let's see what we can do on suspensions. 355. If we can get to about 370 or so, kind of similar to what we did here. We didn't get much above our top level performance, but we bring up the secondary performer quite a bit. So let's see if we can do something similar at the very minimum on the suspension. All right, let's see what we've got. See, so a plus 20. Okay, wow, 391. Very, very nice. And then for the second time through, you can see a lot of risk there. And plus 40, that's great. Not interested in the risk right now. Now, if we get down toward the end of the season and we have some time left and the money left, of course, then we can start to really work on the highest performing parts that we can make, not to use them in the race, but to carry over into next season. So we're going to go ahead and do this. This is going to be done essentially around race time. Only going to cost us $190,000. And let's go ahead and get rid of that mark around the scouting because I'm not interested in that staying there. Okay, so we've got a track vote coming up, so they want to do an interview. And let's just tell them we're not sure which way we want to. All right, I'm going to tell them I'm going to abstain if I don't know any way, because after you've been playing this game for a while, all the tracks, while there are some that I tend to do better at than others, it just really doesn't matter all that much to me. I would just prefer to save my vote whenever possible. Okay, telemetry center. Okay, so we've heard rumors that other teams have better telemetry centers, which I don't doubt one bit. Okay, let's see how we're coming along here. All right, 72, 71. That is excellent. That's what we want. And let's see, are we making a new? Yeah, we're making a new suspension. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove one of these. So let's remove this one because we did want to get it up a little bit higher for this next race. But then beyond that, we're going to want to use the newest suspension. Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of that. See what kind of email we've got at this point. Another scouting report and very weak driver. Okay, we're not interested in that. And so let's go ahead and vote. At this particular point, again, I don't have any reason to care one way or another. So I'm going to go ahead and save my vote. And okay, looks like a lot of people shared my view and not really caring one way or another. Okay, let's go ahead and move this scouting icon there. All right, so the suspension build, we're right at race time. So the suspension build is finished, and it was a very nice build indeed. So we've got the suspension that is completed. Let's go ahead and add it so that we can go ahead and start with it whenever we finish with this next race. So that's a very nice jump. Again, particularly, I'm looking at our minimum part. Our worst part is at a 290 right now. That's going to move that up to a 355, and the 355 will go to 391. So some very nice improvements. Let's see what we can do as far as improving even this. So 422 possible there. Actually, let's look at this first. Okay, yeah, we're not going to get anywhere doing that right now. And let's go back to the engine just for a moment, because we've done a couple of those already. So we're at 415 and 390. Let's see if we can get anywhere huge on that. This is very nice, but it doesn't come over year to year, so that's not really all that helpful for us. And let's see, this one is great carrying over year to year. So let's see, if I do this, what can I get? 541. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. I know it's early in the year to be thinking like this, but let's go ahead and make this one, because this is a huge improvement. And of course, engines and acceleration are what are going to get you better finishes for the most part. If you can improve those, you'll be in good shape. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our race screen. And let's see, 9th or above is where we're at right now. It'd be nice to bring in 1.2 million. All right, so I think we can finish at least one of our drivers in the top 9. You can see it's kind of hit or miss here. If we have Cape Town type finishes, then we'll miss it. But at Rio, we did great in the race, terrible at qualifying though. So either way, we're going to be losing quite a bit of money. Let's take a look at our cars and see if we can move any parts around. In this case, yes, we can. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Again, we're going to have to make some repairs during the race regardless on that. And let's go ahead and move that up. So now we've got our, even though they're showing as equal status, I mean, Walden here is our better driver. Not by much, but a little bit better. Let's see, am I right about that? I think so. Although they're pretty close. So now we've got better engines. Let's see, better brakes. And okay, gearbox we're going to hold off on because of the reliability issues. And let's see, so suspension, same thing. Okay, so over the next few races, we stand to have a much better car. But for now, it's time to race. Practice and qualifying are now done and out of the way, so it is time for the race. As the intermediate tire bonus would indicate, there was quite a bit of rain during practice and qualifying, so that's why you see these bonuses there. Essentially, like the ultra soft tires, that bonus is not going to be useful at all, but it's the only option I have. If you haven't watched the first few videos of this particular season, then you may not know that one of the things I've changed up, again, after having played this game for I don't even know how many hours at this point, one of the things I decided to do here is I no longer participate in practice. I simply automate that and have the AI choose whatever setup options it wants to, and then I simply make one tweak before qualifying, and then I just go with whatever that ends up being. So I don't get the 98s and 99s and 100% setups like I am more used to, or at least getting a 97. Most of the time I get somewhere in the low to mid 90s. which is perfectly fine with me. Again, it just changes things up a little bit from previous playthroughs. So in this case, qualifying trim, the full 15% bonus is what the AI went for. I never would have done that because I've never really messed with the qualifying during practice. So, but the pit stop guru, which is a mechanic bonus, tire changes are 50% faster, which in and of itself, tire changes are generally not the limiting factor in the pit stops, but hey, it always helps to make them as fast as possible. So let's take a quick look at the setup. You can see not the most wonderful setup on this side for Walden, but for Reeve, much better. So let's take a look at Walden first. So we've got a race that's 14 laps long. We're at a 92% setup. Now I could tweak with this some more and probably get it higher, but I'm not going to mess with it. Again, just part of what I've decided to do for this particular playthrough. You can see the tires that have been used along the way, with those intermediates being used more than you would probably like to see anyway, particularly if they came into play in qualifying. So we're going to start out on the super softs, which will go 5 to 7 laps. And the way this works, because of the fueling, they really set it up to where you have to make 2 pit stops. Now, you can mess around with the fuel usage and get it done in 1, but for the most part, the rules on fueling have been set up to make it to where you have to make 2 pit stops. So the way this race will be run is 5, 5, and 4 on your 3 stints, and you can see our tires line up just fine for that. Our fuel, here's where we could, if we ran the engine on our lowest setting, we could try to stretch that and do 7 and 7 and only make 1 pit stop. But again, that's not really as fun, and I've done that a lot in the past, but that gets kind of boring. So here you can see the setup much better, 98% here. And soft tires, again, 5 to 7 laps. We need 5, 5, and 4 for our 3 stints. So the same thing here as well. So we're going to be starting 10th and 13th. So, you know, around the middle of the grid. I'm choosing to go high engine mode on both because our engines should be in good shape. And as far as reliability, the things we're going to have to repair anyway, I don't think will be affected any more so by choosing to run the high engine mode. We will not, however, be choosing to run the tires any harder than we absolutely have to, because I need to make sure they each last the 5 laps. The problem is going to come in as we go ahead and get this thing started. The problem, and get our first save out of the way. Always remember to say I've had so many crashes with this that I've had to get used to doing that before going to the track each time, and also before the race. Okay, let's get everything set up on our camera. Go ahead and fast forward. Okay, so we'll focus the camera on our number 1 running car for the time being, as we are starting 9th and now 8th and 15th. So one car going the right direction, the other car going the wrong direction so far. All right, so we'll try to keep an eye on the weather and see if it's going to rain. That could really mess with our pit strategy. Okay, so now we're at 10th and 12th. So we've got, again, cars going in opposite directions here. Yeah, really falling back here is Cherion. So now we got our 2 cars right together, which is terrible on the track, because since we're running such a tight pit strategy where they're going to have to essentially pit on the same lap, unless I choose to go 4 laps on this first stint with one of them, which I'm going to have to do, because I can't pit them both at the same time. That will stack them up in the pits and essentially take one of them out of contention for any sort of good finish. So now we're finishing up lap number 3. Cherion will be the first one to pit. Let's go ahead and set up that pit stop. So now this will alternate them just enough. Okay, we'll go ahead and fill up, and we'll take the chance here. We got good pit crew, so we'll take the 25% chance. 6-second pit stop. Okay, we'll go ahead and set that up. In fact, let's go ahead and put that on a full attack mode. See if we can't pick up a spot or so before we come into the pits. Hopefully we can. Again, any time that we can pick up right now would be great. Okay, so it didn't happen. Okay, so now we're here on lap 5. We still got plenty of tire left. So we're going to go set up everything for our pit stop. Part condition, looking a little ragged on the brakes. I didn't make any fixes the first time around for our first car. I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet and make some repairs here. I don't care about recharging the battery. I'm not interested in that. So you can see 20 seconds as opposed to a 6-second pit stop on our other car. Let's go ahead and push there as hard as we can. Let's see how the condition is going. Okay, so 33 and 40. That's not terrible. We're probably still going to have to make some repairs at least to the rear wing, but we'll see how it goes beyond that. All right, so we got the pit stop going. Okay, so that got our car repaired, but of course it moves us well back in the pack. So now 9th and 16th, that shows you quickly the difference between making repairs and not making repairs. Why it's so valuable to be able to get parts that are very reliable. Okay, so yes, we've got parts that are going to need to be repaired, but that's okay. We planned for that. That's all part of it. Let's go ahead and have him push. We're up into 6th position, so you can see with the positions we're picking up, it looks like there are some cars here that are trying to make this on one stop. Interesting strategy. I haven't really seen the AI attempt to do that very much in the past, so I'm very excited about that. Anytime you can get AI updates that make them more competitive, I'm up for that. Makes the game more fun. All right, so we're running in 5th after everybody has made their initial pit stop. So very nicely done there. So we're going to be looking at coming in this next time by. We're still running in 6th, so that's not bad. We're going to be, again, most everybody is on a 2-stop strategy, except for the few that I noticed were on a 1-stopper. All right, so let's go ahead and come in for the pit stop. Let's make sure. So we got 6 laps remaining. Is that right? So 5 after the pit stop. Okay, so we're exactly where I thought we were. So we got the most out of our tires that we can get. All right, let's go ahead and part condition. This time we're going to have to bite the bullet and make a couple of fixes. I'm going to try not to fix that in this race. All right, so 18 seconds there. So we went from a 6-second stop the first time around. 18 seconds is our estimated time this time. All right, so he's going to be coming into the pits. All right, let's see where he comes out. And he's actually going to be coming out. Oh, did I miss rain? You betcha I did. Wow. Man, I hate it when I do that. See, I had an opportunity right there, but that's, if you've been watching the series for any length of time, you know that that is not a surprise that I missed that. Okay, so now at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all I can, but we're off sequence, and I can't bring them both in at the same time, I don't think. We'll see. But the reason I say that is because we've got 4 laps remaining, and they're pretty close on the track. Well, maybe not as close as I thought. All right, full attack mode here for the car in the back. And let's see, what are we going to get? Well, we are going to have... Wow, what do you pit for here? All right, yeah, they're far enough apart now that we can bring them in. The question is, do we go full wets? And I don't think we're quite in full wets territory. I would love to do that, actually, but I don't think we're quite there. So let's go ahead. Let's make sure. I don't think, yeah, we don't need to fix anything. So 3 seconds plus the pit delta for pit road. Okay, so this moves things over. Now let's see. We got full wets here. So maybe I misread that. So they're going full wets. All right, let's go ahead and push as hard as we can. Maybe not full attack mode, but let's go ahead and push. Okay, so you can see the pit stop didn't cost me all that much. Now, granted, it would have been a whole lot better if I'd have simply paid attention and been on the proper tires at the proper time. So yeah, everybody went to wets except for me, it looks like, as far as I can tell very quickly. So we're up in 8th and 10th. Let's see, 8th. Everybody above me is on wets except for one dry weather car, which is quickly fading, if not in the pits. Okay, yep, we just passed them. So we're in good shape here. We're actually on the correct tire, I think. Yeah, especially as we get toward the end of the race, these last few laps. So I'm going to have him push as hard as both of them can. So we're up in 7th now. You can see on the mini map in the top right-hand corner, we're a good ways behind 6th. You can also see that here just above each driver. You can see their lap times. All right, so the tires are wearing out, but again, that is not an issue right now. We've got part condition issues. Wow. Okay, we got to make this final lap. Surely we can make these parts last one more lap. It's very interesting to me that we're still, even though this is clearly not full wet type weather. Okay, at this point we are running slower laps than those on the wet weather tires in front of us, so we're clearly not going to catch them. No sense in... Okay, so we ended up 8th. We were a little closer than I thought, actually. So we come home 8th and 9th, which is, as far as I'm concerned, a great finish. If you remember, our sponsorship objective was 9th. We did not get in qualifying, but we did get it in the race, so that'll save us a little bit of money by earning some of that back. Now, Eskin, the driver, if you remember earlier in the video, we were looking at some of the salaries of the drivers, and I believe Eskin was somewhere around $1.7 million, if I remember correctly. So they better be bringing in some huge bonuses if they're going to cover that type of salary. So another great finish for us. If you look at the driver championship standings right now, we're 4th and 8th, which again, I believe is going to even itself out and come down over the course of the year. But hey, so far, so good. I'm going to take it. And team championship, we are in 4th. So let's go ahead and take a look at our final couple of screens, which are the money and morale. And hopefully the game doesn't crash before we get there. Okay, so here's our morale pegged at 100% there. We don't care about the reserve driver. We're looking for a 7th place position in the team championships this year. We came in 6th in this race. Happiness of the chairman went up as a result, and marketability went up just a little bit as well. And so with our bonus money that we made, we're down to only losing 1.3 million as opposed to about 1.7 to 1.8 million. So overall, I would have to say a very, very nice race for us. Could have been better had I handled the rain a little bit better, but overall, I'm very happy with the results. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned for more Motorsport Manager.